Hello, I'm Joe Aamidor from Aamidor Consulting. We're product and market strategy consultants in the building IoT and smart building space. And I'm here to talk about, could an Uber-like model work in HVAC service and HVAC repair? I wrote an article about this a couple months ago, and here I'm just talking through some of the high-level points. So let's start and jump in and talk about just the status quo. What does the current service market look like for HVAC? So first, it's a massive market. You have almost 50 billion being spent on HVAC service. While that's a lot of money being spent, you also have a lot of properties, about a third of them, they aren't actively on a regular basis maintaining their HVAC equipment. They're doing what's called a break-fix model, where if it breaks, they fix it, but they aren't spending money upfront to preventatively and on a regular scheduled basis repair things to avoid those breakages. That's a market that could be tapped with a different business model, like an Uber model. Additionally, the average technician is fairly old, about 52 years old. What this means is that you have an expected retirement wave coming in the coming years. You additionally will need either a way to attract new talent, which could be the adoption of new technology, or software and technology that can avoid the need for as many people. So it doesn't replace the worker, but it can supplement the work that's being done. Another key dynamic in this industry is the fact that the average service provider, when you look across the landscape at who is providing HVAC service, the average revenue is about $1 million or less, and the average number of people who work for those entities is about 10. So while you have some very large players, you have a very long tail of very, very small players. Those players may not have all the resources they need to do things outside of just maintaining service, from finding new clients, doing the customer satisfaction, customer success piece, and also following up with them later. And you could even argue that some of the data-driven solutions that can stream data from a HVAC system, that actually could help them quite a bit, because then they can utilize that information. They're not going to be able to develop their own tools to do this. So that's the status quo. If we move on to what would an Uber-like model look like, of course, we're all familiar with Uber itself. And it really starts with making a request. So you're outside, you want to pick up a cab or a Uber, you can just use your phone. So what it would look like for HVAC, one, you could actually make that request. If the HVAC system is connected, it may be able to make a request on its own. This could include, we're not able to supply chilled water at the required temperature. That could generate a request, or it could just be human generated. But what you're able to access is a dynamic marketplace, which would mean not just finding the person or calling the individual you know, it might match you up with somebody who can provide the service you need. That can be based on specifically what type of system do you have. Is it VRF? Is it a chiller? Is it a rooftop unit? And it also gives you some ability to find who is local, who has done a good job, what are their ratings. So instead of calling who you know because you have that number handy, you're actually being linked up or matched with somebody who can provide that service that fits you, that does a good job. After that, the service can actually occur. So somebody has received a message, that's one of the HVAC contractors. They're able to come, they have a lot of the information already at hand. What's wrong? What is the issue? What's some data behind it that I can analyze before I get to the site? And then they can come prepared. Sometimes you go to a site, you learn what is wrong, and you realize you don't have the right part on your truck. So you have to go back and return later with that part. So some of that can be avoided if you actually have a connectivity layer that enables you to see what's wrong before you get there. You also can do simple things, like you can check in when you're there from a billing point of view. If you're charging them for the time on site, the software itself, just through your phone, can automatically tag when you arrive, when you leave. And then you can even verify, I've done this job, I can put the information I did, I've digitized the record. So instead of having a paper-based record of, I came, here's your bill, it's all done through a software layer. There's data there. It can be utilized, analyzed in the future. And then finally, there's a big feedback component. As you get out of the Uber, when you get to where you're going, you can say it was a 4-star, it was a 5-star. You can actually put specific feedback on what was not right. And then you can even write in details if you want to be very specific. So you can do that through this model as the building owner, the building operator, and that can inform, of course, matching for the future. Additionally, some of the data that can be streamed off of the equipment itself can be, how long is it before there's a failure again, or how long is the duration between service requests, and maybe some of that can be based on or will be dependent on the fact that this service provider did a good job. That can then be used in the future for other people looking for for their own service provider. Maybe they want somebody who is known for service that has longevity, that will last a long time. Whereas in some cases, you may have an emergency and say, I need the person who can respond quickly. So I need somebody who can be here in an hour. That service provider, the feedback might inform that service provider versus the other. So this allows you to find the right person for the right job or the right people for the right job. So if we move over, what's the value? Why would we do all this? Why would somebody invest the money to build this model or to invest in such a model? So first thing, you get a lot of the business tools. Just as we said, very small entities are in this space. They don't have all the tools that they might need to do their job well. So this can provide some of those back office tools, can help them find clients, it can help them manage the business that they're doing, allows them to focus on being good HVAC technicians. For the landlords, they get a lot more transparency. Right now, they may or may not be collecting a lot of this data digitally. There's certainly movement to collect more data more digitally, but this gets them there, it pushes them there, it enables them there in a way that it fits in with their current business. If you need service, if you're having service done in your buildings, we might as well digitally capture as much data as possible. That can be very useful as they sell the building in the future, if they're selling the building, or just determining for bigger projects, buying new HVAC to replace old equipment, that data will be valuable. And then, of course, really the most important is the occupants. Why do we have HVAC from the base? It's to make the building comfortable for the actual tenants and the occupants. So by repairing and maintaining the equipment in our building more consistently, more regularly, you'll have a better environment that improves productivity, improves worker health, and it just becomes an amenity that makes people want to be in that space. That, of course, does have value to the landlords because the landlords can then, they're leasing the building for more money, they're getting a higher occupancy rate, and then they'll end up selling the building for more money. So in a nutshell, that's how Uber for HVAC could work. I've written an article if you'd like to learn more, and I appreciate you sticking with me and listening to how this could work. Thank you.